Hey, Weed Freak 976 here with the truth. This is my part 2. Well, I should have focused on more on the first one about why the Tea Party wants to do this. Why these far out, fringe, right-wing loonies want to do this to shrink the size of government. Well, they'll give you this answer like, well, because government shouldn't interfere in people's lives, and they're the ones who want to keep defense spending, and also a lot of them, and also they want to interfere in people's lives when it comes to who gets married, and when it comes to who can, you know, even that's something I really don't care for, like who can use pot and other drugs and stuff like that. There is a sinister undertone of this, very sinister. This is from Government is Good website. Okay, look at that. It's called Starving the Beast. Now I'm going to read some of it. An unapologetic defense of a vital institution. A web project of Douglas J. Amy, professor of politics at Mount Holyoke College. The large tax cuts promoted by the right wing are intentionally designed to force government to cut back severely on social spending. Okay. For decades, a key goal of anti-government agenda conservatives has been to substantially cut spending on social and regulatory programs, but they have been faced with a difficult and tricky obstacle. Most Americans actually like these programs, you know, Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. As seen earlier, most of us would like to increase, not cut, spending on social programs like healthcare and education, and we greatly appreciate the job being done by regulatory agencies that protect the environment, consumers, and workers. So how can these valued programs be cut without invoking the wrath of the public? The answer the Republicans found is to attack these programs indirectly. The weapon of choice, tax cuts. The ideal is simple. If we keep cutting taxes, eventually there won't be enough money to spend on these programs, and they will have to be reduced. If there is simply not enough money in the budget, even liberal supporters of these programs will have to reluctantly concede that cuts are necessary. Conservatives call this tactic starving the beast. Taxes are what nourish governments, take the source of nourishment away, and government must inevitably shrink. For anti-tax advocates like Grover Norquist, this is the ultimate purpose of tax cuts. The goal is reducing the size and scope of government by draining its lifeblood. Who was the person who really advocated this, folks? Milton Friedman, the arch-conservative economist. And who really started it for him? It was Ronald Reagan and Alan Greenspan. I touched on that in another video. When Reagan promised to balance the budget, he cut taxes in his first year, but he kept spending too much on the military budget, raised the debt. Again, does this sound familiar? It says that in here. And Reagan's budget advisor, David Stockham, said that there was a deliberate purpose behind this, was to starve the beast, to get rid of government. But when people think of why do this, why? It's because of the social Darwinist that these right-wing, the survival of the fittest, that these loons, the right-wing loons are. They do not want people to have programs. They don't want the sick to have the help they need. They want to starve them out. They don't want them to get help because they don't want to pay for it. They're too goddamn selfish to do it. Especially in America, no one is worse than the American small government libertarians and Tea Partiers. There is no one worse when it comes to, now not all, because I've had a few libertarians and conservatives defend me and defend me against trolls, but who have been most of the people who have trolled me, or tried to? They never succeed, but they always do try. Okay, there are people that attack me for being disabled. Okay, I get called everything from a welfare rat to worthless slob. I've been called everything by these people. Okay? And, this is what they think of, especially the rich ones, of sick people. I mean, it's sickening. A guy in Montana, a representative from Montana, let me find it here real quick. Aha. Dang it. It's like it wants to stick together. Come on. Yep. Well, shoot. Oh well, apparently I can't find it. There we go. Yeah, one little page. Jeff Essman compared the citizens, sick people who oppose the doctrination and unnecessary GOP cuts to criminals and hijackers. Now, this was just last year. Now, you listen to those quotes. John Boehner taking money. He took money last year. This is from the Republican hate machine. He took money from the HABA, has been a staunch opponent of Obama's health care reform law, and supports House Republicans' misguided attempt to repeal it. The group's PAC spent nearly $2 million in the 2010 election cycle, including a $10,000 donation for Boehner. It's who these politicians work for, basically. And these companies and these people are like, it's like back when Nazi Germany, and they're like, what do you mean? Back in the 20s, when Germany's economy defaulted, they turned to the Nazis, people did, by the mid-30s, when Hitler basically stole the election. So, people were afraid, during a bad economy and stuff, people start to recess, and, there were, thank goodness there were freedom fighters fighting for these people, one woman, I should do more on her, but you know what, I'm just going to mention her real quick name, Violet Szabo. She worked for the Special Operations Executives. And my buddy, Miss Vampirus on the Prowl, Alyssa, her ancestors, grandparents and stuff, were part of a revolution of fighters who fought against the Nazi Germany party. These democratic socialists and stuff who hated the Nazis and helped out these sick people and stuff, and these people who could not help themselves. So, unfortunately, the young lady, Violet Szabo, she was captured, killed at the only age of 23, but she helped a lot of people in only 2 missions. These are that's why they hate socialists. That's why they hate socialism. Because socialism is spreading the wealth and taking care of the sick and people who cannot take care of themselves. And I always hear the argument from people like How the World Works and Raymond Dunderhead and Fringe Elements and all these idiots, charity. Yeah, you know what? Try telling that to somebody who needs chemotherapy or who has a lifelong disease for charity. A one-time treatment is not going to help a lifetime of suffering and pain, okay? So, it's sad, it is, it's very sad, but that is exactly what this is all about. Sadly, it's all about wanting the sick to die off because they don't want to pay taxes on them, even though we spend more money on the defense budget than we do on Social Security. And by the way, Social Security is paid for with a payroll tax, okay? People pay into it. A payroll tax is not an income tax. Income tax is different. A payroll tax, people pay into it. They pay into the system. So Social Security is in a surplus. Well, not as big as it once was, because guess what? The government kept borrowing money, especially Bush and Obama, to pay for wars. Wars are being funded by Social Security money. And again, it's all in an attempt to You know, they get on TV, the Republicans are like, Social Security needs to be reformed. Social Security cannot last this long like this. See, that's exactly what this is all about. All this war spending, all this money, you know. You know, that's why Hitler was like that. He used capitalism just to start wars so that way he could weed out and kill the sick and the minorities and stuff. I know that's a different, but, you know, still, Hitler hated sick people. He hated them with a purple passion, people with disabilities and stuff. I don't know. This is disgusting. Okay, let's not get off track here. Sorry. It's just, it riles me up, okay? But I understand what this is really all about. Sadly, the rich in this country and the elites, for the most part, hate our existence, my existence, and anybody else who is not perfectly fit and stuff, and don't fit into their conservative ideology. They look at us as the leeches of society, and they think that by getting rid of us, that then they won't have to share the wealth, that they can just work the poor and everything for cheap labor, no Social Security or Medicare or Medicaid to pay for, or just defense spending and stuff, and, you know, which they won't mind that because there's military contractors. There's money to be made in that. There's not money being made in taking care of the sick, even though it's just right. Okay, it's morally right, but they don't care, you know. And like I said, if you go by history, Germany had. Let me get back to this. Germany had the first kind of close to universal health care passed, and Hitler, when he became Heil Führer, broke it up. You know, he weakened it. That was one of the first things he did. And because, again, it was all about weeding out the sick. I mean, I know I say this a lot, but that's what it's all about, sadly. I'm going to put some links up that show you how some other stories that I can't talk about in this video, but how the sick, well, I'll see if I can find the links, but I read some stories that talked about how the sick and stuff get discriminated at the polling booths a lot. They don't want them to vote. They don't want the sick people to exist, basically. And, again, you know, like I said, listen to these fools. Listen to the Raymond Dundases, the Fringe Elements, and How the World Works, and all these fools who want lower taxes. Even though, like, you know, for How the World Works, who's like one of the biggest wimps and idiots who nobody dare debate him. When he said that we should all have a flat tax, that's the biggest bunch of crap ever. I'll get into that in another video, but, you know, it's just garbage. Again, this is just, you know, why don't you just say what's really on your mind? I don't want to pay for you. I don't think you should exist. Get out of my life. Get out of my hair. Okay? I know that's what you're thinking. It's deep down into your brain. You just don't have the courage to say it. Because then you would make people upset. The good people. So, when you hear code language, and that's what it is, code language, like, I want deregulated markets. I want lower taxes. What, most of these people are saying is, I don't want nobody to get a handout. You know, and you know, don't get me wrong. For people who think, well, you don't think social programs get abused, yeah, they do. And for people who abuse those social programs, they should be ashamed of themselves and they should be punished. But the large majority of people who need social programs, or use social programs, absolutely need them. So, when I hear people say, a lot of people abuse social programs. You go door to door and you can see what's going on in their house. Wow, how do you do it? You must have some x-ray vision that I don't have. So again, just say it. Come on. Just say it. Quit being a coward about it. I said, I know there are a few, very, very, very few small government people who genuinely hate government because of all wars and all the corruption and everything. Okay? But for the large majority of you, this is just simple and sad. You want to cut taxes because it doesn't add revenue? No. Every economist from Paul Krugman and any decent economist will tell you that cutting taxes does not add revenue. It adds to the debt. We've added $3 trillion to the debt by giving the rich tax cuts. So, again, to make it simple, what is it about? You drain all the money out of the government, you cut spending. When you do that, what goes? Oh, we had to have defense spending to protect our country. Even though military contractors and them waste, we could cut billions of dollars out of that. The fact is, we don't want the cuts, but they want the cuts. The rich, the CEOs, the Wall Street bankers, the Tea Partiers, the right-wing libertarians, the rich, they want these cuts so that way people like me and others will just starve, commit suicide, or die. That's all they want. And I dare anybody out there, I want to challenge you. Say what's really on your mind. When you come to my channel, I'm not talking about the ones who debate me. I'm talking about the ones who think I'm a leech, nothing, Say what's really on your mind. Instead of beating around the damn bush. Have the courage. It may be evil, it's despicable and wrong, but have the courage to say it. That my existence repulses you. That because I'm not made in a perfect image, it disgusts you. Okay? Have the guts to say it. Filthy, rotten pieces of trash. And that's the truth.